Jaden stood at the school gate, holding his backpack tightly. His shoes were old, his shirt too big, and his eyes filled with quiet fear. This was his first day at Jefferson High, the best private school in the city, and he knew he didn't belong here. Students walked past him, laughing and talking. No one looked at him. No one said hello. Jaden slowly walked through the hallway. The walls were filled with trophies, awards, and pictures of smiling students. Everyone looked confident and rich. Jaden felt small, like a shadow moving through a world where he was invisible. In class, the teacher introduced him. "This is Jaden Miller. He's joining us on a scholarship." Some students raised their eyebrows. Others whispered, "A scholarship kid from the east side." Jaden sat at the back. He didn't look at anyone. He just wanted the day to pass quietly. At lunch, he walked into the cafeteria. It was huge. Tables were full. He stood with his tray, looking for a place to sit. A group of boys noticed him. "Look, it's the new guy." One of them laughed. "Hey man, are you lost?" Jaden didn't reply. He found a corner table and sat alone. The boys kept talking loudly. "Did you see his shoes? I think they walked here from 1999. They all laughed. Jaden stared at his food. He had no appetite. One of the boys, Ryan, the most popular guy in school, leaned back and said, "I heard he signed up for the talent show. Guess what he's doing? Playing piano." Everyone at the table burst out laughing. "A piano? Him? Maybe he thinks the piano is a big calculator," another said. Jaden didn't look up. But inside his heart burned. He wanted to stand up and shout. But he didn't. He just closed his eyes and took a deep breath. After school, Jaden walked home. His house was small, quiet, and old. His grandma was sitting on the porch. "How was your first day, baby?" she asked softly. Jaden gave a small smile. It was okay. He didn't tell her about the laughter, about the stares, about how alone he felt. Later that night, he opened a wooden box under his bed. Inside was a black and white photo of his mother. She was smiling, sitting at a piano. Jaden touched the photo gently. "They laughed today, Mom," he whispered. "But I didn't care. I signed up. I'm going to play your song. For you." He closed the box and stared at the ceiling. The sounds of laughter still echoed in his ears. But deeper inside him, something had started to wake up, something powerful. The next morning at school, posters for the talent show were everywhere. Jaden's name was at the bottom of the list. As students walked by, they pointed at the poster and laughed again. "I can't wait to see this disaster," one girl said. "He'll probably press one key and break the whole piano," Ryan joked. But Jaden didn't say anything. He just walked to class and sat at the back like before. In music class, the teacher asked, "Any volunteers to show their talent today?" The room went quiet. Then, slowly, Jaden raised his hand. The class looked at him, surprised. "Yes, Jaden?" the teacher said. "I want to play, not today, but in the show." The teacher smiled. "Good. We need brave hearts." The other students rolled their eyes. After class, Ryan stopped Jaden in the hallway. "You really think you can impress anyone with your little piano act?" Jaden looked straight at him. "I'm not trying to impress anyone." Ryan laughed. "Good, because no one will be impressed." Jaden turned and walked away. His heart was beating fast, but he didn't look back. That night, at home, he sat at the old keyboard in the corner of the room. It was dusty. Some keys didn't work, but his fingers knew where to go. The moment he touched the keys, something changed. The world disappeared, and only the music remained. In his mind, he saw his mother again, smiling, teaching him, guiding him. He played the first few notes of her favorite song. Soft, slow, full of emotion. Outside the house, neighbors stopped to listen. A dog stopped barking. A car engine went silent. The melody floated through the night like a gentle wind. Jaden didn't notice. His eyes were closed. His soul was open. At that moment, he wasn't just the new boy. He was her son. A boy with fire in his heart and music in his blood. And soon, the whole school would know it. The school auditorium was full. Students whispered, laughed, and pointed toward the stage. The talent show was about to begin. Backstage, Jaden sat alone, hands on his knees, head down. His fingers trembled. His heart beat like a drum. He could hear the noise of the crowd, laughing, cheering for their friends. But none of it was for him. Next up, Jaden Miller, the teacher announced from the stage. Suddenly the auditorium got louder. "Who?" someone shouted. "The piano kid?" Another laughed. Ryan and his group burst into laughter. "This is going to be the best joke of the night." Jaden slowly stood up. His legs felt heavy. The spotlight hit the center of the stage. The grand piano waited there, shiny and perfect. Too perfect for someone like him. He took one step forward, then another. Each footstep echoed in the silence as he walked across the stage. His head was down. The laughter behind him grew louder. Maybe he thinks it's a video game. He probably brought sheet music from McDonald's. Jaden heard them all, but he didn't stop. He sat on the piano bench. The whole auditorium went quiet, not because of respect, but because they were waiting to laugh harder. He placed his hands over the keys. His fingers shook. The same fingers that once danced over keys like water now refused to move. He closed his eyes. In his mind, he saw his mother again, her soft hands over his small ones, teaching him, guiding him, saying, "You don't play the piano, Jay. You speak through it." Jaden opened his eyes and froze. He couldn't do it. His throat tightened. His chest felt heavy. He tried to press the first key, but nothing happened. His fingers stayed in the air. A few students began to giggle. Is he broken? Maybe the piano's scared of him. The teacher stepped forward, trying to help. "Jaden, it's okay. Take your time." But the damage was done. Jaden stood up slowly. He didn't say a word, didn't look at anyone. He just walked off the stage, head down. The silence was painful. Then came the loudest laugh of all, from Ryan. "Bravo!" That was the most silent concert in history. The whole auditorium exploded with laughter. Jaden didn't look back. Outside the auditorium, he stood under the dark sky, his eyes filled with tears he didn't want anyone to see. He had failed. Again. For the first time in years, he had touched a piano in front of people, and the music never came out. He walked home in silence. That night, in his small room, Jaden sat in the dark. The wooden box with his mother's picture was still under the bed. He didn't open it. He just stared at the wall. In another part of the city, Ryan and his friends were making memes. They posted a photo of Jaden at the piano with the caption, "Coming soon, Silent Symphony, by J. Miller." By morning, the whole school had seen it. Jaden knew it too. His phone was full of messages, pictures, jokes. He turned it off. He didn't go to lunch that day. He didn't talk to anyone. He just sat behind the library, staring at nothing. That's when she found him. Emily. She was holding a book and 2 apples. "Mind if I sit here?" she asked gently. Jaden didn't speak. "I saw what they did to you," she continued. "It wasn't fair." Jaden looked at her. "I messed up. They were right." "No," she said. "You didn't mess up. You were brave. That's more than I can say for them." Jaden shook his head. "I used to play, really play. But now, when I try, I freeze." Emily handed him an apple. "You're scared because it means something. That's okay. Fear means your heart's still working." Jaden didn't reply, but her words touched something inside. Later that evening, Emily found him again. "I heard there's an old piano room in the basement," she said. "No one goes there. It's dusty, dark, and broken. But it's quiet. You can try there. No eyes, no noise." Jaden looked at her. A small light returned to his face, just for a second. He nodded. That night, when the school was quiet, Jaden pushed open the door to the basement music room. It smelled old. The piano was covered in dust. Cobwebs hung from the corners. He sat in front of it. This time, there were no lights, no noise, no laughter, only silence. Jaden placed his hands on the keys. He closed his eyes and began to play. The first note was shaky, the second stronger, the third full of feeling. And soon the room was filled with music so deep, so beautiful, it felt like someone was crying through the piano. Upstairs, a janitor stopped pushing his cart. He stood still, listening. Back inside the room, Jaden's eyes were closed, but his soul was open. And in that moment, he didn't care about Ryan, about the jokes, about the fear. He just played. And the piano, his old friend, finally spoke again. Every night after that, Jaden returned to the basement music room. No lights, no crowd, no eyes watching, only silence, and the old dusty piano waiting just for him. He cleaned the keys gently, replaced the broken pedal with a piece of wood, even oiled the bench so it wouldn't squeak. It wasn't a perfect piano, but to Jaden, it was a friend, and maybe the only one who truly understood him. His music grew stronger every day. One night, he played a piece so beautiful, the janitor who always passed by stopped and stood at the door, tears in his eyes. He didn't speak, he just listened, quietly, like the whole world had paused. But Jaden didn't know anyone was there. His eyes were always closed. His hands moved with memory, not sight. The song he always played was his mother's song. Soft at the start, powerful in the middle, and full of sorrow at the end. Every note told a story, his story. At school, nothing changed. Ryan still made jokes. Students still whispered. And the memes didn't stop. But something inside Jaden had changed. He didn't flinch anymore. He didn't look down when people laughed. He just walked through the halls like someone holding a secret. A powerful secret that no one knew. Except one person. Emily. She had followed him once. Quietly. She had found him sitting in that basement, playing the same melody again and again. She didn't interrupt. She just listened, then left silently. The next day, she sat beside him at lunch. "I know that song," she whispered. Jaden looked at her, surprised. "How?" Emily gave him a soft smile. "My mom used to play it too. Said it was written by a girl in New York, a long time ago. Her name was Maria Black. She played with her heart." Jaden froze. Maria Black. That was his mother's name before she got married. He felt like the world stopped spinning. "How do you know that?" he asked quietly. Emily's eyes grew wide. You don't mean." Jaden slowly nodded. "She was my mom." Emily gasped. "Jay, she's a legend in classical music. Everyone in my family knows her name. But she disappeared years ago. People thought she left the world too early. What happened?" Jaden looked down. His voice trembled. "She died when I was 8. Heart failure. She was only 35. She never got to finish her last song." Emily held her breath. "Is that the song you play every night?" Jaden nodded. "She called it the unfinished goodbye. She said one day I would finish it for her. But I can't. Not yet." Emily was silent for a long time. Then she whispered, "Jaden, you have to share this. People need to hear it." Jaden shook his head. "They don't want to hear it. They just want to laugh." "No," she said firmly. "They laughed because they didn't know who you were, what you carry inside. They don't know the truth." Jaden looked at her. "And what is the truth? You're not just a scholarship boy. You're the son of Maria Black, and you were born to play." Jaden didn't reply, but inside him, something started to glow again. Later that week, the school announced a second talent showcase. This one was for the Spring Arts Gala. It was a serious event. Judges would come. Music schools would watch. It was a chance for students to show real skill. Emily signed Jaden up. When he found out, he panicked. "What did you do?" She smiled. "I did what your mother would have done. I'm not ready." "You're more than ready." Jaden turned away. "I froze last time. This time, you'll fly." Jaden spent every night preparing, but not in the basement anymore. He asked the janitor, Mr. Benson, to open the main music hall for him. The janitor nodded with a smile. "You play like your mother, son. I remember her. I saw her perform once. She lit up the room." Jaden was stunned. "You knew her?" Mr. Benson smiled. "A long time ago, when she was still Maria Black, she played in this city. Gave a small concert for kids who couldn't afford tickets. I was one of them." That night, Jaden played not just for himself, but for his mother and for everyone who once believed in her. In the music hall, his notes danced. The sound was rich, full of pain and beauty. He didn't freeze. He didn't hesitate. And finally, he began to write the missing part of the song. The final goodbye. It came slowly, one note at a time, like a voice returning from silence. By the end of the week, he had completed it. He had done what no one thought he could do. He had finished the unfinished goodbye, and he was ready to show the world. The day of the Spring Arts Gala arrived. The school auditorium looked completely different. There were flowers near the stage, long curtains, bright lights. Parents, teachers, and even guests from the city had come. A few judges sat in the front row with pens and clipboards. Jaden stood behind the curtains. His hands were cold. His legs didn't want to move. He wore a black shirt and old dress shoes that were a size too tight. But his mother's necklace, a tiny gold music note, hung around his neck. It was the only thing that made him feel brave. Emily walked over, holding a small paper. "You're fourth on the list," she said. Jaden nodded. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. He didn't answer for a moment. Then he whispered, "No, but I'm going anyway." Emily smiled. "That's the difference between being afraid and being brave." He looked at her. "Will you stay?" "Always." Behind the curtain, Ryan and his friends laughed while tuning their guitars. "Hey, Jaden," Ryan smirked. "Hope you brought your silence again. That was your best song last time." Jaden didn't reply. He just stared at the curtain, waiting. The announcer called, "And now, please welcome Jaden Miller, performing his original piano piece, The Unfinished Goodbye." The auditorium went quiet. Jaden stepped out. His shoes tapped against the wooden floor. He walked toward the grand piano at center stage. People in the crowd whispered. Some still giggled. Others just looked confused. A few students from music class leaned forward. "That's the same boy who froze last time, right? Why is he back? Doesn't he get embarrassed?" But Jaden didn't hear any of it. He sat on the bench. He looked at the keys, and he placed his hands gently on them. Then, he took a deep breath and began to play. The first note was soft, like a whisper. The second note followed, deeper, like a heartbeat. Within seconds, the audience went silent, completely silent. Every finger movement, every pause, every note he played carried emotion. The melody told a story of pain, love, loss, and hope. The middle of the song hit harder, a storm of notes, crashing like waves. Then came the final part, the part Jaden had written himself. It was new, it was raw, and it was perfect. Some in the crowd had tears in their eyes. Others sat frozen, afraid to blink. Even Ryan, who was ready to laugh again, sat stunned. His mouth was open, but no sound came out. Jaden finished the last note. Then silence. A long, deep silence. Then, applause. First soft, then louder. Then everyone stood up. It wasn't polite clapping. It was real, deep, powerful. People cheered. Some cried. Others just stood, not knowing what to do with the feeling inside their chest. Jaden stood up slowly. He looked across the crowd. Then his eyes stopped at one person, the head judge, a tall man in a black suit. The man was wiping his eyes. He whispered something to the teacher beside him, then walked up to the stage. The announcer quickly stepped forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "Mr. Leonard Bright, director of the State Academy of Music, has something to say." The crowd quieted. Mr. Bright looked at Jaden and said, "I've heard hundreds of piano pieces in my life, but this," he placed a hand on his chest. "This wasn't just music. This was truth. This was a goodbye letter wrapped in love." He turned to the crowd. "Young man, what's the name of your song?" Jaden's voice was calm. "It's called The Unfinished Goodbye." Mr. Bright nodded slowly. "Then allow me to say, today, that goodbye was finished." Everyone clapped again. Jaden looked down. He saw Emily standing near the curtain, her eyes full of pride. He smiled. He had done it. He hadn't just played the song. He had spoken through it. That night, Jaden's performance video was posted online. It reached thousands of views in just a few hours. People from other schools, cities, even countries began to comment. Who is this boy? His music made me cry. Maria Black's son. No way. Ryan deleted the memes. He didn't say anything the next day. In fact, most people didn't know what to say. Because Jaden had changed everything. Not with words, not with anger, but with music. And the school that once laughed, now stood in silence, listening. The next morning, the whole school felt different. Posters from the Spring Arts Gala still hung in the hallways, but this time, the students didn't walk past them. They stopped. They stared at Jaden's name printed on the event board, right next to the word winner. People whispered when he passed, but not with laughter, with surprise, with respect. Some just nodded, others smiled. Some even said, "Hey, that was beautiful," or "You're amazing, man." But Jaden didn't let it change him. He still carried his old backpack, still wore the same worn shoes, still ate alone, until Emily sat beside him again like she always did. "You broke the internet, you know," she said. He smiled a little. "I didn't mean to. You didn't have to. The truth has its own voice." Jaden looked down. "It still feels strange." Emily leaned closer. "That's because it's real. You didn't fake anything. You just let your soul speak, and people listened." Just then, the school office called him over the intercom. "Jaden Miller, please report to the principal's office." He stood up, confused. "What did I do now?" Emily raised an eyebrow. "Maybe you're being expelled for being too good." He laughed softly. Inside the office, the principal wasn't alone. A tall man in a sharp navy blue suit was waiting. He stood as Jaden entered. "Mr. Miller," the man said warmly. "My name is Charles Everett. I'm a talent scout for the New York Academy of Performing Arts." Jaden blinked. "The what?" Mr. Everett nodded. "I saw your performance last night. Someone shared it online. By midnight, it reached our board. We've never seen anything like it." The principal looked stunned. "This is a very big deal, Jaden." Mr. Everett continued. "Your mother, Maria Black, was once invited to our academy. She left after 1 year for personal reasons, but she left a legacy behind. Her unfinished composition has been a mystery in our archives for years. When we heard the unfinished goodbye played to perfection, we knew that was her son." Jaden swallowed hard. Mr. Everett reached into his briefcase and pulled out a letter. "We want to offer you a full scholarship to join our academy this summer. No application, no audition. You already passed it, live, in front of the world." Jaden's hands shook as he took the envelope. His name was printed in gold letters. It didn't feel real. "But I'm just a kid," he whispered. Mr. Everett smiled. "So was Mozart. So was your mother. Some people are born with it." Jaden looked at the principal. The man nodded slowly. "You've earned this, Jaden. You've made this school proud." That night, Jaden sat on the rooftop of his apartment building with Emily. The city lights flickered below. He showed her the letter. She stared at it, speechless. "You're leaving?" she asked after a long pause. "I don't know," he replied honestly. "You have to go," she said quickly. "But what if I'm not ready?" "You already proved you are." Jaden looked at her. "What about school? What about you?" Emily smiled sadly. "I'll be here, and I'll be cheering for you. Always. You don't belong in silence anymore, Jay. You belong on a stage." He was quiet for a long time. Then he finally said, "I'll go." But the next morning, something happened that shook the school and almost changed his mind. A news crew showed up at the school gate. They asked for Jaden. They asked about his mom, about the song, about his past. One reporter even said, "We heard your mom left the academy because of a scandal. Is that true?" Jaden froze. He didn't know what they meant. But another reporter added, "People say she was pushed out. That someone stole her music. That's why she never came back. Is that why you're returning? To finish what she started?" Jaden's head spun. Was it true? Was there more to his mother's past than he knew? That night, he opened her old notebook, the one she gave him before she died. Inside, on the last page, was a small message. If the world ever hears your song, don't just play it. Finish the truth. I couldn't. Jaden's hands trembled. This wasn't just about music anymore. It was about justice. It was about her. He picked up his phone and called Mr. Everett. I accept the offer, he said. But I'm coming with more than just a song. I'm coming with a mission. Jaden stood outside the gates of the New York Academy of Performing Arts. The building was huge, tall glass windows, grand stone pillars, and a fountain in the middle that danced with music. He had never seen anything like it. Inside, everything was quiet, but full of life. Students from around the world practiced violin, guitar, piano, and voice. Some played jazz, some played classical. Everyone was talented. Everyone looked confident. Jaden felt small, but he didn't come here to be comfortable. He came here for truth. And music. His first class was music composition. When he entered, the teacher turned and smiled. You must be Jaden Black Miller. He corrected softly, just Jaden Miller. But the teacher nodded. Of course, but I remember your mother well. Maria Black was one of our best students. Her fingers spoke faster than words. Jaden didn't say anything. The teacher continued. Her last composition was called The Unfinished Goodbye. Isn't that right? Jaden froze. How do you know that? He asked. She wrote it in this very room, the teacher replied. But before she could finish it, she left the academy. No one ever explained why. Her sheet music disappeared. Only the title remained in our records. Jaden opened his notebook. I have her melody, he said. The teacher's eyes widened. Then you're here to finish it. Jaden looked down. Yes. And to find out why she left. That night, he stayed late in the music library. He searched every file with his mother's name. Then he found it. A small report, hidden deep in the archive. Student Maria Black withdrew after disagreements with staff regarding original music ownership. No further records. There was a second paper, unsigned, with bold letters. Unproven claim of melody theft. Composition may have been copied. Jaden's heart burned. Someone had stolen her music and then blamed her. He ran his fingers over the old folder. And that's when he saw something. A name. Professor Theodore Langston. He circled it. The next day, Jaden asked about the professor. He retired 12 years ago, a staff member said. Used to teach advanced theory. Very strict. Very proud. Jaden searched more and found his address in the staff archive. It was in Brooklyn. He took the subway alone. The building was old. He climbed the stairs to apartment 3B and knocked. An old man opened the door. Tall, white hair, sharp eyes. Yes? The man asked. Jaden swallowed. Are you Professor Langston? I was. I'm Jaden Miller, Maria Black's son. The professor stared for a long moment, then slowly stepped aside. Come in. The room was filled with books and old records. A grand piano sat near the window, covered in dust. Jaden sat down. I know what you did, he said quietly. Langston didn't move. What do you think I did? You stole her music. You let others believe it wasn't hers. The professor sighed. She was brilliant, brighter than anyone. But this school, it wasn't ready for her. A young black woman with more talent than the head of department. They couldn't take it. Jaden's jaw clenched. They said her work was too advanced to be hers. Langston continued. And when she complained, they punished her. They said I should handle it, so I buried it. Jaden's hands tightened into fists. Why didn't you speak up? He asked. I was afraid, the professor admitted. Afraid to lose everything. I chose my career over her truth. Jaden stood. Well, I'm not afraid. He pulled out his notebook. Her melody is finished now, and I'll perform it at the Academy's grand concert. Langston looked at him, then nodded slowly. She'd be proud, he said. Jaden left the apartment with tears in his eyes, but not from sadness, from fire. He returned to the academy, walked straight to the director's office, and said, I want to perform at the grand concert. My piece is ready. It's called The Unfinished Goodbye, the final version. The director looked at him. That piece has history. I know, Jaden said. I'm that history. And the director, after a long pause, agreed. 2 weeks later, the concert hall was full. Famous guests, reporters, former students, and one empty seat, front row, with a flower on it, for Maria Black. Jaden walked onto the stage. He sat at the piano, closed his eyes, and began to play. This time, the city heard. And it did not forget. Jaden sat at the grand piano in the center of the stage. 1,000 eyes were watching. The lights were bright, but his eyes were closed. In that moment, he was alone, with the music, with the memory of his mother, and with the truth she had left behind. He took a deep breath. Then his fingers touched the keys. The hall went silent. Not a whisper, not a cough, not a sound. The first notes of the unfinished goodbye filled the air, soft, gentle, and haunting. But this version was different. Jaden had added what was missing, the part his mother never got to finish. It wasn't just music, it was emotion, pain, hope. It told a story without words. Each note seemed to cry. Each pause felt like a breath from the past. And as the final part came, the melody she had written with shaking hands, Jaden played it slowly, carefully. He could feel her in every sound. And then, the last note. He held it, let it hang in the air. Then he lifted his hands. Silence. Then the crowd rose to its feet. Applause shook the room like thunder. Some people cried, some hugged. Reporters pushed forward with cameras. One shouted, "That was the lost piece, wasn't it?" Another asked, "Was that your mother's work?" Jaden stood slowly. He walked to the mic and spoke. "My name is Jaden Miller. My mother was Maria Black. She was a student at this academy 20 years ago. She wrote a piece called The Unfinished Goodbye. It was stolen. She was silenced." The crowd became quiet again. Jaden's voice grew stronger. "She died before she could share it with the world. Tonight, I finished what she started. I played her truth." He held up her notebook. "This is proof. Her notes, her words, her dream. You tried to erase her, but music never forgets." The headmaster stepped forward, clearly shaken. I didn't know," he said quietly. Jaden turned to him. "Now you too, and so does everyone else." The next morning, the performance was everywhere. TV channels played it. Online videos hit millions of views. News headlines read, "Black student brings truth and tears to historic music academy. Maria Black's legacy lives on through her son." A song that broke silence and made history. Soon, the academy was under pressure. They launched a full investigation into Maria Black's case. All professors came forward. One even admitted the truth publicly on television. "She was punished for being great," he said, "and for being different." The academy made a formal apology. They renamed the concert hall after her, the Maria Black Memorial Hall. And Jaden? He became more than a student. He became a symbol. Schools invited him to speak. People wrote letters thanking him for showing that talent has no color and truth has no limit. One message from a young girl said, "Now I believe I can play too. Thank you for making space for people like me." Jaden visited his mother's grave. He stood quietly, the scholarship letter in one hand, the award in the other. "I finished it, Mom," he whispered. "They finally heard you." The wind moved softly through the trees, almost like a gentle reply. Back in the city, Jaden continued to study. But he also taught music at community centers. He helped kids who felt like they didn't belong. He told them, "Your story matters. Don't hide it. Play it. Let the world listen." And they did. The song his mother started became more than music. It became a movement, not just about sound, but about justice, about being seen, about being heard. Years later, people still remembered the night the black boy played the piano, and the world went silent, not because of his skin, but because of his soul, because the truth always finds its voice,